To emotional moments way beyond baseball, to emerging young stars coming up through the system and excelling at the major league level, to your home run champ, to a couple of first-time All-Stars, and to a manager that believes in his players and staff, leading them straight to the postseason. It's not over for the green and gold. Hopefully it's just the beginning. Today, we salute your Oakland Athletics and wish them a successful run in the month of October. Well, game number 162 has arrived, but more baseball to come for the A's, the best kind, October baseball. But before that, we will wrap up this regular season. It's the A's and the Angels coming up on NBC Sports California, powered by Xfinity. Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Oakland A's Baseball. Along with Ray Fosse, I'm Glenn Kuiper. A whole bunch of great individual performances by the A's this year. None better than Chris Davis, sitting on 48 home runs. Maybe he can get to 50 today.
Well, it's a day game in Anaheim. The ball carries well regardless whether it's daytime or nighttime. But, Kuiper, I've never seen a player adjust to the DH role better than Chris Davis has this year. 48 home runs. If he could get 2 more, that would be outstanding. But the one thing that has impressed us really the most is the fact that he goes opposite field as well as anybody that we've ever seen. You're going to see some shots. These balls are going from right center to right field, and that's unbelievable power for anybody. And we have seen it from Chris Davis now for 3 consecutive seasons. He's at 48. Would love to see him get to 50, but he has been a special player for this Athletics team.
And also 123 RBIs. Jed Lowry would like to join him in that 100 RBI club. For more on that, let's head downstairs to Dallas Braden.
Jed Lowry has been a statistical wizard this season. The doubles, the homers, but one thing that we're focusing on with Jed Lowry is that century mark. That's right, 100 RBIs for the season. Sitting on 99, got himself a sac fly, a home run last night here against the Halos to get him to 99. But for Jed Lowry, it's been a season of consistency from both sides of the plate. He's found himself in the middle of run-scoring opportunities, driving those runs in. He's played amazing defense as well, filled in for Chapman over at third when Chappie went down. But Jed Lowry continuing to roll, hopefully hits that century mark today.
All right, all those great offensive numbers have led to 97 wins and a postseason berth for the Athletics. So game 162 is coming up from the Big A here in Anaheim. We'll have lineups and first pitch when we come back. It's the A's and it's the Angels. Stick around.
Toyota, designed for the grind that comes through every time. See your local Toyota dealer today. Toyota, let's go places. By Southwest Airlines, low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. And by Jack in the Box. Try something different, like Jack's Teriyaki Bowls. Only at Jack in the Box for a limited time.
Well, final regular season game for the Athletics and for the Angels, obviously. 162 on a beautiful day here in Southern California, the Big A. Let's check out the game time weather presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. The admission-free boardwalk is open this weekend. So nice and warm today, but not uncomfortably warm. 81 degrees, plenty of sunshine.
Joe West made it out today, so everything's all good. Joe umpired behind the plate last night, and he'll be at third base today. But, Kipe, I think the nice thing about this day, there was Alfredo Griffin took out the lineup card. But last night there were a lot of videos on Mike Scioscia. And, you know,
think? They're acting like it's his last game as manager today, aren't they?
I know. But, you know, it started out with the bobblehead, which was his bobblehead giveaway, but then all of a sudden it's the Dodgers and then his Angels managing. And, yeah, it wasn't something that if I were Mike Scioscia or his family, I wouldn't want to see that. But
well, if it is his last game, it's been quite a run for Mike Scioscia, and he deserves a lot of credit. They have not had as much success as they hoped as of late, but he has a World Series championship, the only one in Angels history. Starting lineup for the A's brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Here it is: Martini, Chapman, Lowry, Davis, Olsen, Piscotty, Laureano, Simeon, and Fegley. That's the A's starting lineup.
Matt Shoemaker's on the mound for the Angels, as Mike Scioscia said, with Skaggs last night, and Shoemaker today, regardless of the situation. Of course, the Angels found out last night by losing they were not going to finish at 500, but even if they had been gone for their 81st victory, he would have been on the mound. He faced the Athletics back on 20th of September. He did outstanding pitching for 2 innings, but then really imploded in the third. A's got to him for 5 runs.
Defensively, Eric Young Jr. is in left, then Trout in center, Calhoun in right, Ward, Cowart, Johnson, and Marte on the infield. Joe Hudson is your catcher.
You know, one thing I like about today is the fact that if the A's were in the Angels' shoes, it might not be the same lineup, but it gives the A's incentive to play well, have good quality at bats, play good defense, getting ready for Wednesday's game. They will have tomorrow off and work out on Tuesday in New York and then play on Wednesday night. Bob Melvin, 8th season. Let's hope that he gets another manager of the year. He should get it based on everything that he has accomplished with his team this year, as the team has played extremely well.
So we'll see how long the starters are in the lineup today.
If Jed gets an RBI his first at bat, he may be gone.
Well, we need 2 home runs from Chris Davis and 1 RBI from Jed Lowry. I don't know if we're asking too much, but we'll see if we can do it.
Absolutely.
Chris Davis had 48 home runs. Jed Lowry, 99 RBIs. The thing with Jed, though, if RBIs, obviously you get one with a home run, but sometimes you need a little help. You got to get somebody on base.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he get his record-setting doubles in his last game last year? Is that
that was here, right?
Yes, it was here.
You're right.
It seems like he got it. And,
it was toward the end.
Right.
It may have been the last time.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely towards the end of the season. So something to shoot for. We showed the numbers last night, all the tops numbers for him in the season.
So Nick Martini goes after the first pitch, being a good teammate. Nick takes a rip at that first pitch. Will we see a lot of that today, Dallas, or is that just something announcers joke about?
I think it's something announcers probably do a good job of building up. Yeah, hope for.
You know, maybe that's not the case with a couple of games starting today in San Francisco and Colorado.
Yep.
Maybe that's a different.
They'll be grinding at bats.
I don't know that they really care about hurrying and going home. And your point last night, Cap, they're all 4 going to postseason, but still, division is huge.
A little bit outside. Yeah, we generally concentrate on the American League, but we are going to watch the National League today, with the Cubs and the Brewers tied for the Central. Rockies, Dodgers tied for the West. All the games start at the same time. It's the Cubs and the Cardinals playing, the Brewers and the Tigers playing, the Rockies and the Nationals playing, and the Dodgers and the Giants playing. Max Scherzer is not pitching today for the Nationals.
And that comes after Scherzer saying that if he had the opportunity and got the go-ahead, he would love to take the mound on the last day of the season.
Down the line, but it's going to just drift into the seats. Umpires today: Marty Foster, Mark Ripperger, Doug Eddings, and the crew chief Joe West is down at third.
So he gets to make the appeal calls on left-handed hitters.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see some of those.
Full count to Nick Martini. And that one not close in the dirt, and it's a leadoff walk.
Wanted to go to a splitter.
Well, today in the 95-mile-per-hour fastball is our fast pitch, brought to you by Xfinity, the fastest Wi-Fi at home and on the go.
Well, Kipe, how about a base hit by Matt Chapman to right field with Nick Martini going to third. Jed Lowry comes up. It's a ground ball, avoids a double play, and he gets his 100th.
And you would like the infield to stay back, correct?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
They'll stay back for two.
Right.
Yeah. Or better yet, Chappie hit a double, and Martini stops at third. That's even better than the infield would play back. No chance of a double play, because you hit into a double play, you don't get the RBI.
First pitch to Chapman is a breaking ball, down and away. Chapman had 279, 24 home runs, 68 runs batted in. He's got 42 doubles. He's got 6 triples, 152 hits on the year. So a very good first full season for Matt Chapman. Where he ranks in some of the categories in the American League, he's tied for 7th in doubles, 9th in OPS, 10th in extra base hits, 11th in slugging, and last night he scored his 100th run of the season.
It's a pretty big deal when you consider that Matt Chapman didn't get off to a blazing hot start. Swung it well at times, went through a little bit of a lull, but then the second half came around, and Matt Chapman just never stopped hitting.
And he rips that one foul. So 2-1 the count, with Lowry waiting in the on-deck circle.
Decent effort here. Last day of the season. Not packing it in, not packing it up and taking it to the house.
Should take that jacket off. It's hot out there.
You're telling me, Foss. I've got it about 113 down here on playing surface.
It's very cool up here in the booth.
Oh.
Thanks for the eclair last night on the shuttle back to the hotel. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Found out where they ended up.
Yeah. I'm telling you, Foss. Can't trust a bat boy any farther than you can throw him these days.
Well, last time we were here, Dallas, you did I believe it was a Sunday game, and you actually melted.
True story.
There was a puddle of water and a hat
and
by
that's
the
all.
9th inning down there, and that was it.
I lost 14 pounds.
And you can't afford to lose it.
I cannot. I cannot.
But you have regained yourself, which is good. Outside corner strike. 2-2 the count.
Well, we know one thing for sure. Shoemaker's taking this game seriously. He's shaking off. Hudson should just go straight to the splitter, because that's what Shoemaker wants to throw. It does take time.
Short lead at first by Nick Martini. And that one in the dirt, and Martini will head over to second. So runner at second. There we go, Ray. Yeah, that was last time we were here. Oh, my boy was hurting. Of course, somewhat self-inflicted, a dark shirt on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I tried to switch it up today and go a little lighter brand, a little maroonish. Not helping.
Black shirt, hat, and heavy beard. So you'll get some sympathy. Not much. Chapman, a tapper foul down the third baseline, picked up by Taylor Ward.
Well, and you know, Foss, to your point about Shoemaker taking this seriously, and I know what you mean. Nobody is giving away an at-bat. Nobody's ever going out there giving away an inning or a pitch on either side of the ball, whether it be the hitter or the pitcher. But for Shoemaker, this last outing of the year, you can sort of put a stamp on going into the offseason healthy,
right.
you know, ironing out the kinks that you've been trying to figure out, knocking the rust off that you've been trying to get rid of. So while it's the last day of the season, it's still a very, very big outing.
That's a fair ball. It's grabbed by Ward. His throw across the diamond in time. So Chapman is out. Martini stays at second, and Lowry will get an opportunity in the very first inning to knock in his 100th run.
Dallas, I agree 100% with you, and especially in the case of Shoemaker, because it was Socha who said he was going to pitch, and due to the injuries, he wanted to be able to go into the offseason. I think it's very important for anybody that's dealing with an injury, and especially a pitcher, to be able to go into the offseason and to say, I'm going to work on getting ready for next year instead of wondering if I can pitch or not.
Well, that's it, Foss. I tell you, it takes me back to 2006. I had surgery at the beginning of the year, 2006. I had no shot of pitching, or so I was told by the late, great Dr. Louis Yoakum. I was back on a mound in about 7 months, to everybody's shock and surprise, and I ended up finishing, made 2 starts back in Double-A, but it was just to make sure that I was feeling decent. My arm was working. I made my way out to Puerto Rico, played winter ball, came back and attacked Double-A once again in 07 with our boy Scott Emerson.
That's right.
And then found my way to the big leagues shortly there at the end of the month.
Lowry, right field. Calhoun into the corner, and he's got just enough room, and he makes the catch.
Well, I thought he had hooked it just enough. So if Chappie had gotten Martina to third, there's your 100. But I thought he got it, but especially as the outfield wall starts to diminish down the right field line, and I thought he's going to hook it just enough, but maybe a little bit too quick. Got it towards the end of the bat, and it stayed in the park. Didn't really have that crunch that you like to hear off the sound of a bat. And Calhoun right there. You see how short the wall is in right field. And Jed Lowry, didn't he, when he's with the Astros, hit a ball down there against the Angels for a home run, I think it was, in a very important game a couple years ago? And
yeah, I don't remember the exact circumstance, but I do remember the home run.
Exactly, right down the right field line. And maybe that's why he was mentioning about that one that he just missed.
So here's Chris Davis with Martini now at third and 2 outs. Chris Davis skies one to center field where Trout trots in a little bit, and he's got it. So the A's strand Martini at third. Jed Lowry just missed a 2-run homer. No score after a half an inning. Angels of Anaheim. Here's their starting lineup, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Calhoun, Trout, Ohtani, Marte, Ward, Young, Cowart, Hudson, Sherman Johnson.
I think to Dallas's point for Brett Anderson, this may be a game for him to finish this on a good note, see what happens starting Wednesday. He'd like to pick up a win to even his record at 5-5, but it's been good for the Athletics, signing late, joining the club, and did have some injuries, but by and large, pretty good season for him.
Calhoun on the first pitch lines a single to right field.
Well, we've seen it from Cole Calhoun all series long. Aggressive early in the AB, aggressive early in the count. Here, no different. First pitch, heater from the lefty, and that'll get Calhoun onto first base. Start the inning.
Pitchcast brought to you by SoFi, a modern finance company. So Cole Calhoun is done. So Jabari Blash comes in.
Calhoun came in hitting .206, and
we got her up to .208.
Well, it will guarantee that he won't go below the Mendoza line. Watching the Cubs the other day, Hendricks, I think, was at 199 innings and took him out for a pinch hitter. And so he did get to the 200. And I know some of the old timers saying, what's the big deal about 200? And they were going 300 plus. 4-man rotation, a little bit different.
200 innings is a big mark. That's that you start working into workhorse territory, and you would love that label.
Well, we talked about it the other night, Ray. Yeah. And remember, we had a total of 7.
Yep,
I think
that's right.
I think it's
8 or 9. I mean, it jumped one. There was one that was close.
I think there's 3 that have got there. So I want to say there's now 11 guys, and I'm going to double check just to make sure that have in all of baseball that have reached 200 innings.
Yes.
So it's going to be a stolen base for Blash. So Trout with an RBI opportunity.
Jabari Blash going first move against the lefty. You can see Brett Anderson on the leg kick. Probably about a 1-4 home.
Yep, that's right. And how about Mike Trout taking this pitch? Blash able to steal. Of course, he gets himself in scoring position where Trout sitting 1 RBI short of 80.
So, guys, that number that we just dug up, how many pitchers in all of baseball this year have thrown 200 innings? It's 13 is the total. 13. And last year it was 50. In the year before that it was 50.
And it's going to keep
the guy
dropping.
You talked about, Hendricks, got to, he was 1 inning short.
Yeah.
So as of a week ago, it was 7. There's a bunch of guys that have snuck in. Trout hits it hard, but right into the glove of Nick Martini.
But it's a changed game, and I think based on what we've seen and what we're expecting to see more in the future, and I can count 3 teams, maybe 4 that have gone with the opener, and we maybe see a lot more starting in 2019.
Could be. And I guess the thought too is, okay, how many starters do we have that we will allow to see the lineup a 3rd time? Right? That's the simple math.
That's the
right?
great point.
Dallas, agreed?
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think
so 2 away. Here's a quick look at the A's defense. Martini, Laureano, Piscotti in the outfield. Chapman, Simeon, Lowry, Olson on the infield, with Fegley doing the catching. So finish your thought, Dallas. It just seems like that's sort of the math equation now, right?
Well, yeah, that's what you want to find out. You'd love to identify a few of those individuals that you feel can handle the opportunity or can actually get that job done. But I think we're going to start seeing teams, the teams that from the onset are not competitive or are not in a position to be competitive throughout the season. We're going to see those teams deploy that approach a lot more, I believe. And unfortunately, I think that starts to creep into an underproduction of starting pitching.
Yep.
The game itself will not start to cultivate the starting pitcher. The starting pitcher, as we know it, will become a unicorn.
Well,
and that is not a good look for the game of baseball.
And what happens if then that idea to do it that way, not every day, but someday, trickles into the minor leagues? That's a possibility too. And that ball is hit deep, and that one is gone. That's Jeffrey Marte. A long home run. And the Angels grab a 2-0 lead. So 7th home run for Marte.
Strong young man, and he just showed it going to left center, but man, is the ball carrying. Even the ball that Martini had fouled down the left field line looked like it's pretty close to carrying the distance. But one of the problems that we are seeing, and as we get into postseason, you're looking at too many fly ball pitchers. And Brett Anderson today, line drive left, or fly ball left, home run left center. So, you know, Calhoun hit a line drive to right field to start it. So 4 balls in the air, and you'd like to see some ground ball outs.
1-0 to Taylor Ward.
But you know, you do the math, guys. If you think about, let's say on average 30 starts for a starter, a true starter, and we'll give him the benefit of the doubt of going 5 innings, which is 2 times through the batting order, maybe plus. It's 150 innings. We may not have one guy pitch 200 innings in baseball. Yeah, I mean, that would be, and how do you compensate starting pitchers anymore? I mean, usually those are the guys that you think will be the highest paid.
Simeon throws to first just in time. Jeffrey Marte 2-run homer. The Angels lead 2-0 after 1. Xfinity X1 customers say, show me the Oakland A's in your X1 voice remote to get live stats on your TV. Change the way you experience TV with Xfinity X1. So Jabari Blash stays in the game in right field. Cole Calhoun's season is done. And we could see a lot of that today. So Matt Olson to lead things off here against Matt Shoemaker. He stranded a runner at third in the first inning.
And by the way, we must congratulate Matt Olson, game 162 for him that he has been playing in. So he's in the game and it counts. Somebody about, with Cal Ripken Jr. it's the regulation to go the consecutive, but someone was saying last night, one of the coaches, that if you get in the game in any capacity, so it counts.
In American League history, playing 162 games at first base, only 4 players have done Huh.
And they always say first base is an easy position. It's the easiest on the field, which it's not, but
Interesting.
you know, you don't have to move as much as maybe an other infielder or outfielder. But Matt Olson has played so well defensively. I mean, his offense has been off the charts, but defensively he's been one of the top in the American League, if not all of baseball.
Well, I think about all the shifting that occurs in baseball these days, and there is just no way you can have a first baseman over there who is anchored to the line, who doesn't understand the defense around him, doesn't understand responsibilities. For Matt Olson, he has to have a feel for the defender to his right.
Yeah.
He has to have a feel for the pitcher and his ability to cover space. He can't just buy a ticket and show up. Matt Olson has to have his head on a swivel at all times. That goes for first baseman across the game these days with the shift. And I think Matt Olson is a prime example of having an athlete. That boy can move over there at first base. As big as he is, he's got quick feet.
Okay, now we were listening to the pregame show, Dallas, and the guys, Woody and Stu, were asking you about A's awards, and you gave the A's Best Defensive Player award to Matt Olson.
Correct. Correct.
Mr. Controversy down there, huh?
Well, I think Matt Chapman is a clear-cut favorite as far as defensive prowess goes. We have seen it on display all year long, but there's a man responsible for, as I said, putting a bow on everything that happens in the infield, whether it be from Chapman, from Simeon, from Lowry, from a Barreto, from a Pinder. It doesn't matter who. Matt Olson scooping on the backside, more times than not, he's dressing those plays up. He is the safety blanket of this defense.
I think that's legitimate reasoning for picking Matt Olson as the top defensive player.
Well, Marcus Simeon just really confirmed what Dallas was talking about, and that's just one of the infielders. But he said, of course, his errors are down at shortstop, but he talked about Matt Olson and how many he has saved because he's able to scoop the ball and his large frame able to stretch and go get a ball and also reach up and keep a ball from going over his head.
Yeah, I mean, the target is a thing, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
We go back to that.
Piscotty deep to left field, and that baby's gone. Number 27 for Stephen Piscotty to tie the game.
And just like that, it's a tie game.
So Piscotty 88 RBIs.
Stephen Piscotty did this in Oakland against Matt Shoemaker. He waited until the fourth inning then, but this is a no-doubter. Left his bat. Great way to finish the regular season for Piscotty. To put the bow on a great season.
So since the 13th of June, 24 home runs. Fifth most in all of baseball.
How about September the 20th? The 3-run shot off the same Matt Shoemaker, and this helped the A's. He gave up nothing the first 2 innings. You see the head drop. He knew it was gone. As Piscotty with a 3-run home run off Shoemaker in a 5-run inning, and that was the game the A's won 22-3. There were a whole lot of substitutions in that game, and it wasn't the last one of the season. But a good game for the A's, nonetheless.
So here's Ramon Laureano hitting .292, 5 home runs, 19 RBIs. Swing and a miss. So 1-2 to Laureano.
Well, I would say, though, if you fall in love with the splitter and it doesn't go down like you want it, remember the great Gaylord Perry told me that V pitch won't work until I could throw it hard. Well, same with the splitter. See the numbers against Shoemaker for Stephen Piscotty.
1-2 pitch. Laureano kind of waved at it. So that's the first strikeout for Matt Shoemaker.
He loves to split, loves to go to it.
Well, nice moment here.
Yeah.
Mike Trout is going to be taken out of the game. Hermosillo's coming in, and he will get a huge, well-deserved standing ovation. The best player in baseball, and obviously loved here in Anaheim. So listen to this.
this has to be a very, very emotional day for number 14, Mike Socha. To have
Good call.
to take guys out and know that maybe, and we'll find out maybe after the game, maybe it will be his last time directing the team, which he's done a tremendous job for 19 seasons. But Mike Trout, you go back to when he first came up and he missed a month, and what the Angels could have done maybe if he'd been up to start the season his first year. But he has been a tremendous player.
Trout with a couple of MVP awards. He'll be in the top 5 this year as well. Another sensational season. He finished 4th in the league in batting average, 9th in runs, tied for 4th in home runs, leads the league in walks, intentional walks, on base percentage, 2nd in slugging. That could win you an MVP award in some seasons. Hey, we get to do it today. We are going to announce, we being Dallas, Ray, and myself, our award picks for MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, Manager of the Year in each league, and we're also going to choose who is going to play in the World Series.
And we're seeing something today that I have never seen with Mike Socha sitting down on the bench, or the bench on the rail.
You noticed that too, Foss.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same exact thing, because
he's normally standing, but he is sitting.
it feels like I'm making eye contact with him. We're staring right across at each other, but he is usually hunkered down over by the garbage can or right by that camera well.
Standing the entire game. This is the first time I've ever seen him sit down, and especially the way he is right there. It's almost like he's out in front and center for everybody, and especially if he makes the moves of the guys coming off the field. But he's a good man, and you know, I had a chance to visit with him last night in his office, and you know, I asked him about the bunting situation. And Kite, being a football expert that you are, the one thing that I asked him about, I said, you know that the A's only have sacrificed bunting 6 times, and he says, you know, our club has only done it 7 times. And I said, you're aware of that? He says, absolutely. He says, but you know what? If you don't take it away, they'll use it. And he said, and he referenced football. He says, just like that short pass. If you play back, assuming they're going to throw long, they're going to start taking the short pass. And he brought up the same thing about bunting. He said, if you don't play against the bunt defensively, you play back, they will bunt.
Sure.
And you know,
at some point they have to start.
They have to. And you know, but that's something you always think. Why are they playing in when the A's don't bunt? Well, that's a perfect reason, and it's something I really never thought of until he brought it up. I like that football reference.
Yep. Thank you. Week 4.
That I didn't know. But thanks for telling me.
Simeon is retired. Well, Mike Socha will be 60 years old in November. And I'm just looking, he finished his playing career in 1994, although he didn't play, he was injured, but that was the last year he was a player. 94, he started managing in 1999 in AAA, but just 1 year, and then in 2000 he took over the Angels.
Exactly.
So I think too, you start looking at Mike Socha started playing professional baseball in 1976.
Yeah.
Well, it's 2018. So I guess there's 2 ways to look at it. He's done this his whole life.
Exactly. Yeah.
So is he ready to say, you know what, I've done this my whole life. I want to relax. Or is he saying, this is it. This is what I like to do. I want to keep managing.
And I think the latter is the answer. I think he will continue no matter what happens here. But, you know, I remember Tony La Russa left after the 95 season. He said sometimes it's time to move on. And he moved on to St. Louis, and the A's really started kind of a rebuilding program. But, you know, he had been there since halfway through 86, the end of 86, and all of 87 through 95. And, you know, basically that was it. I mean, he wasn't fired, but he was saying, you know, time to move on.
So, Dallas, with that in mind, let's say Mike Socha does want to keep managing. He's a very good manager. There's also kind of a movement, I think, by some organizations to go with younger managers.
Correct.
So,
well, add to that salaries.
Well, that's true. He's not going to manage for nothing.
Right.
So you put those 2 things together. Does that, and how many openings are there going to be? That probably narrows the opportunities for Mike Socha. Would you agree?
I would agree. And you think about organizations evaluating talent within their farm system, and think about them having an older veteran player that they might be looking to move on from. The affordability of the younger player, the viability of the younger player, that is something that they take into consideration. So there is no reason to think that same model or that theory wouldn't apply to filling the void of a manager.
Big bouncer to first. So Martini's retired, and so are the A's, but they get a 2-run homer by Stephen Piscotty. For Piscotty, his 27th home run of the year. He now has 88 RBIs. Bottom of the second coming up. We are tied at 2. A few changes for the A's. Franklin Barreto takes over at short. Matt Joyce takes over in right. So Piscotty is done, and Marcus Semien is done. So we like to give you the final totals. Piscotty finishes the season 27 homers, 86 RBIs, and 41 doubles. Marcus Semien finishes with 15 homers, 70 RBIs, and 35 doubles. So pretty good offensive numbers for those two guys. Should also point out, Ray, that Piscotty, 151 games played. Marcus Semien, 159.
Just happened to miss 3 for the birth of his second child. So that would have been it. But he loves to play, and he's had a tremendous year. Both sides of the baseball.
And I know this is something we talked about earlier in the year, but an entire group getting better together also requires an entire group playing together.
Yeah,
and if you're out on the field day in and day out together, you're getting a feel for the other guy's ability, things he can do, things he can't. And that makes a world of difference for a unit trying to grow together.
Two and two the count to Eric Young, and he fouls it just to our right. Well, I think then what you're saying, Dallas, is the fact that the A's infield has played together pretty much every single game this year. Maybe that is a big reason why they have improved so much defensively.
No doubt about it.
Well, at the time we discussed it, there were 2 teams that we brought up, the Orioles and the Dodgers. 2 teams that play the same first, second, third short all the time.
Brett Anderson logs the first punch out of the day here. Slider, middle down. EY swings over the top here. Good downward action on that slider from Brett Anderson. It's been a hallmark of his for his entire career. We've seen him go to the changeup a lot more this season. You know, pitching off of that fastball that had good velocity early on in his career. Not the 94, 95 he was once featuring. So the separation in velocity, the changeup becomes a pitch that he can utilize.
A pitch that he utilized in Yankee Stadium back when the A's were there in that weekend series, whenever he found out that nothing was working, so he started using the change more, and it's worked well for him throughout the season.
1-2 the count to Caleb Cowart, the switch hitter. Anderson, a quick worker. He does not mess around. Howard playing shortstop today, so Andrelton Simmons looks like his season is over. He will enjoy this one. Angels will not get to the 500 mark. And Howard strikes out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Brett Anderson.
19th of September, Brett Anderson at the Coliseum against the Angels, and did well. Did not allow an earned run, a run at all in 6 2/3 innings, but he had all those pitches working. Enough to hear the umpire, home plate umpire, yelling strike 3, which he had in that game. Did a great job. Between that game and the game he had against the Mariners that afternoon, he and Mike Leake going head-to-head, scoreless game, and 16 ground ball outs for Brett Anderson in that game.
1-1 the count to the catcher Joe Hudson.
When you can see how quickly Brett Anderson can get himself into a groove, start feeling like he's got some repeatability. And that's something else you like to see is Brett settle down, settle in. And Foss, that's where that weak contact, those ground balls come to life.
Yeah. That one hit down the right field line. Joyce hustling over, and it's fair. Just fair. And Hudson's going to have a double as it bounced up over the wall.
As we talk about Brett settling in and filling up the strike zone, this strike here, changeup up and out. That enables him to get to it. See, just kind of flip down the line there. But again, for Brett, he's going to be a quick worker, strike thrower. And I think for somebody like Brett, who's not going to overpower you, you can keep your defense on their toes, keep the game moving. That always bodes well.
This is a warm day. Get the heck out of there, right,
Sure.
Dallas?
I'm with you. I am with you.
Pitch like you got to go somewhere because you do. Hayes got to get to New York. Right?
That's right. Got a hot date in the Big Apple.
That's right. Be a late arrival for the A's into New York, but they will not work out tomorrow. They will work out on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, go get them.
That was they got familiar with that after playing a night game in Seattle and arriving early morning here with an off day, but that was a wasted day considering the arrival time. At least this is a day game. All games starting, especially West Coast, at this 12 o'clock hour.
2-1 the count to Sherman Johnson. Just got a piece of that one. Well, still no announcement from either team what the pitching situation will be in the wild card game. And hey, there may not be an announcement till Tuesday.
That's right.
In fact, my guess is there probably won't be. That's top secret information you got to keep under wraps. Anderson with a strikeout, so he gives up a double but strikes out 3. On to the third, tied at 2.
by the Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid, America's first hybrid minivan. Test drive one today.
So 2-2 game, top of the third inning. I've seen a lot of A's fans down here this weekend. In a good mood, obviously. It's really a kind of like spring training where you're just going to have a good time and the outcome of the game does not really matter.
Well, the game may turn out to be like a spring training game with substitutions and players. But with the A's last night winning, that eliminated the possibility of the Angels really playing for something today. And I mean, if the Angels had won, they could have gone for the sweep and finished at 500.
Yeah, the Angels will finish under 500 for the third consecutive season. In 2016, they were 74 and 88. Last year, 80 and 82, and right now they're 79 and 82. So a fair amount of disappointment.
You know, you'd have to think the disappointment's going to come from one Artie Moreno, the owner. I mean, they've drawn $3 million for 16 consecutive years. But the one World Championship did not come under the Artie Moreno ownership, nor the Gene Autry ownership. It was the Rock Pile.
Yeah, Disney.
Yeah. But they won it in 02, and they won everything in 02. That's been it.
Yeah, in fact, that's their only World Series appearance.
That's it. Well, Mike Trout, what does he just have the appearance against the Royals in what, 14?
That was quick. Yep,
Yeah.
2014 they won the division, but it was a quick out. They were swept by the Royals in the division series. Chapman swings and misses.
Well, there's only one way to be first in line for postseason tickets. Grab an A's Access membership and begin enjoying your discounts at the ballpark immediately. That's right. Join today and get all the perks for postseason, including 50% off concessions, $4 domestic drafts, 25% off merchandise, and $10 parking passes. Learn more at athletics.com/2019 today. A's Access, every game your way.
So one away. Here's Lowry. Lowry stepped up with a runner at second base in the first inning. RBI opportunity to get to 100. He hit a deep drive that was caught right near the wall and into the right field corner. So I'm sure Bob Melvin is going to give Lowry every opportunity to get this 100th RBI. He's going to have to hit home run here.
And this normally, I think, in the past we've seen where Jed Lowry has had a game like today off, day game after a night game. And I don't know that Jed is someone that you need to play, say, like today to keep him sharp for Wednesday. Bob Melvin has done such a great job with all the players. And guys, I think when we were up in Treehouse and had that one question, and Matt Chapman talked about how important Melvin had been to all the players, young players, veteran players, treated everybody the same. That's pretty special about a manager.
Well, that's one of the hallmarks of Bob Melvin. When you think about this group specifically, and you're talking about a veteran guy like Jed Lowry, who I think you've astutely pointed out probably doesn't need that time to get back, or he's not gonna fall behind because he's not out there one day, but he's got a good routine. But you've got to have a feel for that veteran, and you've also got to have a feel for the young guy who might think, you know what, I feel fine, I feel great, who might need to be reeled in a little bit, protected from himself a little bit. And for a manager to be able to have a feel for both of those types of personalities, both of those players, that's a big deal.
Well, and he had to do it with Matt Chapman. Bob Melvin did, because Chapman just wanted to take ground ball after ground ball. And, you know, finally Melvin said, okay, you got 10 today, and that's it. You'll shut her down. Because otherwise he'd stayed out there all day. Steve Scarsoni was up, remember, here last year in Anaheim. Scarsoni was with the club and coaching, and Chappie just wanted to keep taking ground balls, and finally said, hey, you got a game to play. And that's to your point, Dallas, where You've got to simply say sometimes, hey, you got to rest your body. And for Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, some of these guys playing at this level for an entire season for the first time, that's special.
Down the right field line, but Lowry got out in front quite a bit.
He may be wanting to get the 100th and take a hike. No, I said, get it myself.
So another 2-2, and it's a fastball inside. Chris Davis waits in the on-deck circle. Good swing by Lowry. He takes a lot of good swings. How many bad swings has Jed Lowry taken this year? You know, ones where he gets, you break down, you chase a pitch in the dirt. Hardly ever.
Yeah.
So 10th pitch of the at-bat coming up to Lowry. And he drives him to center. Macio goes back, and then he leaps up right at the last moment to make the catch. So hard hit ball by Lowry, but he's retired.
If it that same shot down the right field line, he wouldn't be in the game right now. He'd have been done in the first inning. That's one a shot, but biggest part of the park. A little smile this time. A little frustrated his first at bat that he just missed one, and maybe thinking if he had pulled it, of course, very inviting over the short wall in right field.
Has finished with the exact batting average each of the last 3 seasons. Can go 0 for 1 or 0 for 2 and finish with a 247 average.
And his home run totals have gone up.
Well, he's 0 for 1.
Yeah.
So instead of the famous phrase, sitting on 714, Chris is sitting on 247. That is hard to do, though.
Yeah.
Have the exact same batting average 3 years in a row.
But how about for the great Stan Musial to have the same number of hits at home as on the road? That's remarkable. Over a tremendous career that he had, 20+ years. But it's great to be this time of the year and talking about numbers, because that's really what it comes down to.
Boy, once the season's over, you can't add any, you can't subtract any. They are what they are.
And starting January 1st of next year, it's only in the books.
One and two to Chris Davis. He hit a fly ball to center field in the first inning. And he got him off speed pitch.
So
struck him out. Couple of strikeouts for Shoemaker. Bottom of the third coming up. Chad Pinder comes in the game, so Chad Pinder is at third base. Matt Chapman. Afternoon is done. So Chapman finishes the season with 24 home runs and 68 runs batted in. And let's not forget about 42 doubles and 6 triples. This is Jabari Blash, who came into the game for Calhoun after 1 inning. Each team with a 2-run homer. Jeffrey Marte in the first for the Angels, and Stephen Piscotty in the 2nd inning for the A's. And just like that, Jabari Blash strikes out. So that's 4 strikeouts for Brett Anderson.
Hard down and in, and Blash, watch him lift his arms. This is an indication I can't hit the breaking ball. Hope it's not a strike because he froze me. And it was a perfectly thrown pitch. Fegley knew it. So did the home plate umpire Marty Foster, who made the call.
So here's Michael Hermosillo, his first at bat. He is in the game for Mike Trout. There's a high strike. Brett Anderson has got a little groove going, it looks like.
Well, we talked about that at the end of last half inning for him. Started pumping strikes in a row, getting the swing and misses, early contact, working quickly.
Lowry going to get it on one hop. His throw to first is not quite in time. So Hermosillo hustling down the line. Kind of sniffing a base hit, and he got it.
Well, it got jammed, and looked like the ball might make it into right field. Jim Lowry, good angle going after, but just could not get enough on the throw with Hermosillo. Pretty good speed down the line. Jet did it, and that's a strong arm to even make the play the way he did. Got to hope the hitter stumbled on the way to first. But, you know, you talk about the nice groove and rhythm that Brett Anderson, you counter that with someone who keeps shaking, and hitters, you know, everybody waiting, but you know, Brett Anderson sometimes just looks like he gets whatever sign is given to him and said, let's go. Sure. And that's a good way to get in the rhythm, and I think it can eliminate any second guessing you might have as a pitcher when you just get the sign and go.
1-0 to Shohei Ohtani, who hit a fly ball to left field, his first at bat. Ohtani is 3 for 8 in this series. A little bit outside, not by much. Ohtani is a pitcher this year, 4-2 with a 3.31 ERA, 10 starts. Hits Brett Anderson. Olson's going to fire to second, and they get the out there. And let's hope Brett Anderson's okay. Wow.
Yeah, unfortunately for it to end up where it did, it had to hit something hard. I like to think of something soft where the ball just kind of drops, but what a reaction by Matt Olson to get to the ball.
You could hear the thud. And hopefully it's somewhere off the lower half, which it looks like it is, right square in the buttocks.
Oh, you can hear it from up here.
Yeah. Well, Brett, when he had his injury in Toronto that resulted in a going back to the mound, he said, boy, I never experienced that type of an injury. He may have never experienced this one either. One warm-up toss, and Marty Foster saying to Mike Socha on the bench that was not a down visit by the trainer.
And in the meantime, Matt Olson made a great play.
Oh, yeah, that's.
He got the out at second base on a very close play.
But I think at that point he knew there's no chance Brett Anderson was going to cover first. So he had only one play and hoped to get it at second, and that was a great play.
So it goes as a fielder's choice for Ohtani, and here's Jeffrey Marte. Marte fouls it right at home plate.
Not many times you have a fielder's choice 1-3-6, but you get to give Brett Anderson an assist that he would prefer not to have too many of those kind. But I think Matt Olson just confirmed what we talked about earlier about his ability to play first base, and a lot of times with his offense, and goes unnoticed. But that's an example of he knew there was only one play. How many times have we seen him do the 3-6-1, 3-6-3 double play?
Quick 0-2 to Jeffrey Marte. So that was pitch number 52 from Brett Anderson. We'll see how far he goes today. Threw 63 pitches in his last start up in Seattle. Good pitch. Could have been called a strike.
Oh. Like that time, Marte just stepped out, and Marty Foster gave him timeout. Didn't miss this one. Didn't need extra time for this pitch. And this drove to left center field. The pitch was elevated by Brett Anderson. But since his first inning, in which he had one ground ball out, the 2-run home run, and a couple other balls to left field, he has settled down between strikeouts and getting some ground balls.
So the count remains 3-2. Runner goes, and that's a swing and a miss. So Marte strikes out. A hit and a runner left for Brett Anderson. 2-2 game as we head to the fourth.
preparation kits at the Parker Elementary School in Oakland as part of the A's Safe at Home program presented by PG&E. Thank you to PG&E and the volunteers for their help creating a safer environment for the Parker students. That's a great idea, man. I'd have paint all over me, man. Tape, I'd probably tape
Tough to get off, you know.
tape my feet to the ground. Who knows what would happen. Great job of volunteers and doing a lot of great work. Safe at Home, PG&E and the Oakland Athletics partnering with a lot of things.
So when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your trusted oil change tune-up and smog experts. The new pitcher is Drismer Despagne, number 40. So Matt Shoemaker goes 3 innings, gives up the 2-run homer to Piscotty. So here's Despagne. We'll be facing Olson. And looks like Barreto would be next. Things moving around in that A's lineup, so we'll just sort of take it one hitter at a time. How about that?
That's
Olson
a great idea. On the final game of the regular season.
Because even though this is Piscotty's spot in the lineup and Matt Joyce came in, that doesn't necessarily mean that Bob Melvin put Joyce in that spot in the lineup. He put Joyce and Barreto in at the same time, but it looks like he put Barreto into this spot in the lineup. Bob, you're confusing us. And
well, big time.
We got to talk.
Well, in spring training, we expect straight ups. We don't like all this moving around, and of course, he's trying to manipulate the lineup so he can have certain guys hit in certain spots, but
can't have that.
No. But you know, it's the time of the year.
Hit pretty well to right field. Lash going back, and he's got just enough room, and he reaches up to make the catch. So Barreto hit it well. A long out. So Matt Shoemaker just trying to prove to everybody that he's healthy after really a couple seasons with lots of injuries. 3 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 3 strikeouts. He threw 60 pitches.
Which averaging 20 per inning is not that great. It's going to get you out of the game quickly. Now, before we go too far, let's got to really talk about what Mickey Morbido's been doing. He's in the booth next to us. He has been non-stop.
He's been on the phone since
But you think about postseason and what you have to do in arranging hotels and flights and doing all kinds of things. And Mickey Morbido is the best in the business. He is on the phone. He has been that way, trying to get rooms in New York. And of course, if the A's do succeed and they keep going to Boston's got to take care of rooms there and people coming and going, and you know what happens when you go to postseason, that phone never stops ringing. And if there's ever a time
for many different reasons,
there's ever a time to just say no. I remember Jimmy Bank, many years, the traveling secretary with the A's and then with the Chicago Cubs, Brewers. He said someone called him for postseason saying, "Hey, you have any tickets?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "Where are they?" He says, "If you're worried where postseason tickets are, then you don't need them, because
or
guess
you're
what?
not going to get them from me."
Exactly. Because if you're concerned, if you're not in the house." And a very good outing for one Brett Anderson as he finishes his afternoon with 3 innings of work, 4 hits, couple of runs. The earned runs, thanks to the home run by Marte. 56 pitches for Brett Anderson, but a job well done. And you never know what's going to happen, because the 4 guys that we had mentioned earlier and have mentioned throughout the season, the Tommy John surgeries, those guys aren't going to be back next year. So regardless of what happens this season, the A's are probably going to be looking for starting pitching in 2019. And Brett Anderson, Trevor Cahill, Edwin Jackson, Mike Fires, guys new to the club, may be perfect fits for the club. We shall see.
When it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your trusted oil change tune-up and smog expert. So Lou Trevino comes in. So his final tune-up for the postseason. He'll face Ward, Young, and Caleb Cowart. Mark Canha is now in the game in center field. So Ramon Laureano will get the rest of the afternoon off. Trevino's first pitch is in for a strike. So we promised you that we would keep you updated on those games going on of importance, and we wanted to wait till the games got going a little bit. And they are all going. Obviously, everything's starting at the same time. The Dodgers are crushing the Giants. It's 10-0 in the 4th inning. So the Dodgers doing what they need to do. The Rockies leading the Nationals 4-0 after 4 innings. So backing up is Joyce, and he's got it. So the Dodgers and the Rockies are working their way toward a tiebreaker game tomorrow at Dodger Stadium. Now it's not over yet, so we'll just wait and see. But obviously the Dodgers, they're going to win that game in San Francisco. It's now 10-0.
Would that be a sweep?
That would be a sweep.
Wow. And Bumgarner, did he not start the Friday game?
He did, yeah. Now, in the other games of interest, the Milwaukee Brewers are leading the Tigers 3-0 bottom of the 4th. And the Cardinals and the Cubs are tied 2-2 in the 3rd. If Cubs win, Brewers win, they will play a tiebreaker tomorrow at Wrigley Field. So
that's great.
Love it. We are on deck right now for 2 play-in games.
And what's great about that is you say, well, the 4 teams that could be involved tomorrow for the play-in games, they're all in the postseason already. But if you think about the Brewers-Cubs game, let's just say that it is a tie, they play tomorrow, the winner gets home field advantage throughout because they will have the best record. So the loser, whoever wins or loses that game, goes from being either the #1 seed or you have to play in the wild card game the next day.
Exactly. You'd be well rested. Well, be rare to go. We may not be well rested, but be ready to go.
Speaking of well rested, good to see Lou Trevino back on for another inning of work here with the off days coming up. Nice little shot of confidence in Lou heading into the wild card.
You know, that's a great point because he was the opener Friday. Did a very good job for an inning. Pitching well today. And I would have to think that with all the scouts, and especially Yankee scouts who have been following the club in anticipation of the wild card play-in game, maybe before had been looking at Trevino and say, hey, you know, he's susceptible as he was to the Angels when Cowart gave up, hit the grand slam against him. Then he had a 3-run home run. But all of a sudden now, Friday and today, he's back to his normal. And I got to be thinking there's people around baseball saying this bullpen's getting even stronger. And that's good from the A standpoint.
No doubt.
And I would have to think, Dallas, and you were a starting pitcher, but I would have to think, guys, that from a reliever standpoint, 2 days is like an eternity to have off. I mean, if you pitch 3 days in a row, you'd like to give a day off and maybe 2. So worst case scenario, if you throw that much, you still get 2 starting tomorrow. And well rested starting on Wednesday.
Plus you kicking a little adrenaline. That
Oh, wow.
I would imagine there'll be a little bit of that going on
Yeah,
Wednesday.
if you were tired in one of 10 teams that's going to be playing beyond today, if you were tired, that tired button goes away following today. It should. It should never even have been part of the conversation, but it does happen. Well, Marty Foster's shoulder moved just a tad.
But needed to move a little bit more.
That's right.
Followed by the arm.
That's right.
So 3-2 the count to Coward. Shift on for Coward. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Nice inning for Lou Trevino, and that is great to see. A couple of strikeouts. 5th inning coming up.
Today's home screen icons and features such as live radio broadcast, the MLB TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlight stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today.
Hey, guess what we're doing this inning, you guys?
Gonna do it. Get her done.
We're going to show you our picks, Dallas, Ray, and myself, for the MVP, Cy Young, Manager of the Year, Rookie of the Year. And I get to go first, and I'm super excited to see what you guys think.
It's award season.
We're going to start with the National League, and that'll kind of build up the excitement going up to the American League. So this is my picks.
Pick to click
for the National League awards.
Better hurry. We got 3 guys to go through.
All right, here we go. National League, Christian Yelich, terrific September. He's my MVP. He's got a chance to win the Triple Crown. DeGrom, thought was the best pitcher in the National League, even though his team was bad. Acuna could have gone a couple different ways here, but he looks like he is going to be a star, absolutely. Brian Snitker, how about what the Braves have done? And that is why I think he is the Manager of the Year. So that is my National League picks. I just thought Yelich, with what he has done in September.
I agree.
Again, you could go different ways. DeGrom, there's a little controversy there. Only 10 wins, but 269 strikeouts in 217 innings. What's that? What did you say? You want to argue about this, Ray?
No. You're the best because I've been right along with you, except one already.
One? Okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
All right, so let's get to my American League picks. We're going to have a pinch hitter here.
Looks like Bo Taylor looking for his first. Get it down.
I think he's going to have it, and it is fair. First big league hit for Bo Taylor. I think he's going to get to second base, and he does.
Oh, the excitement of the A's dugout, spectacular. Oh, that's great. He was so excited, he just fell to the ground.
Well, this is what happens. You get a little excited. You tend to, I don't know, get a little ahead of yourself. There's guys talking about walking on cloud 9. They get that first knock. Doesn't look like old Bo Taylor could find his footing at all. Walking on sunshine.
That looks good there. The first 90's okay. The second 90.
It's up.
That's great.
He heard you, Foss, saying, get down, and he thought, I got to slide to second? What?
He was listening to Ray.
What do you mean, get down, Foss? It looks like a double to me.
Yeah.
That's Ray Fosse. He's a legend. I have to listen to him.
No, only because when Jason Kendall hit the home run, I said, get up, get up. That sounds like Bob Uecker. Oh, that's good. You know what's interesting about that before your American League picks? Ryan Christensen, the A's bench coach, was doing the lineup sheet in calligraphy. And I said, do you do this all the time? He says, no, just for Bo Taylor. He was doing the lineup for him. Well, how special is that? First major league hit for Bo Taylor. What a storied career minor leagues has been for him, and gets the chance to come to the big leagues. And there we saw Chris Smith last year, and there's Ryan Christensen, first year bench coach for the skipper, and Bo Taylor. Guys have really enjoyed having spring training and throughout the minor leagues. I think he knows Midland inside and out. Spent so much time there, but great to see him in the big leagues. And he's been behind the plate. Gets his first major league hit.
Bouncer to the right side. Scooped up by Johnson. All right, let's get back to the picks. These are my American League picks, guys. You can tell me what you think. I went with Mookie Betts.
Okay.
Sensational. I went with Blake Snell, Rookie of the Year, and here's the controversy. I went with Miguel Andujar. The thing that swayed me over Ohtani was Andujar playing every day.
I agree.
Over 150 games in the lineup every day, and just a terrific 46 doubles. And Bob Melvin, Manager of the Year. My World Series prediction: the Oakland Athletics over the Milwaukee Brewers.
Whoa.
I'm a cheesehead, but it's all about the green and gold. A's over the Brewers. So you guys get to go to Milwaukee in October, Ray. What else could you ask?
I've got another place to go to.
Halloween in Milwaukee. So Dallas, agree, disagree? You want to talk about it?
I like them all. I think we may have. I honestly, I feel like you might have been looking over my shoulder.
I was.
When we
Actually, I was. I've been known to do that a little bit.
But I mean, I can see the reasoning with the Andujar selection.
You know what? I spent the most time thinking about that one.
Yeah,
Ohtani, what Ohtani's doing is unprecedented.
Yeah.
So that was a tough call for me.
Yeah, I think for me, as I start to evaluate these things, I try to avoid getting too deep into the data and allow my romantic heart to take over.
That's a good way to look at it. All right, Ray Fosse's picks are coming up, and folks, you don't want to miss this.
Yeah, right.
Because my man Foss, controversial as always. Not really.
Set him up, big boy.
Brought to you by Cresco, your #1 choice for tool and equipment rental with 19 stores to serve you in Northern California.
Well, knotted up at 2-2. A lot of changes. We will talk about those in a moment, but have to get to the National League for yours truly. I go with Yelich as well. The only difference, Kuyp, I agree with you on there. All 3 out of 4. I like wins. You know.
Sure.
I just in the strikeouts, of course, 300 for Scherzer. I just like the fact I've never been a proponent of a guy winning 13 or 14 winning Cy Young. I don't know. I just one of a believer of wins, and that's the reason I picked. I picked Scherzer over DeGrom from your standpoint. The other 3, I mean, Snichter, he was going to be fired after last year, but the general manager had all his issues, and he got a ban from baseball.
It's Hudson who hits one deep to center field. Canna right by the wall makes the catch.
But for him to come back the way he did this year, and you mentioned his staff from last year, I definitely give him the manager of the year in the National League.
Yeah, he's been in the Braves organization for, I think, 40 years.
But,
American League time.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go just one opposition. Okay, I like.
See, there
like
you go.
There it is. Well,
Mr. Controversial, Dallas.
And you know, the reason I'm saying Mike Trout, my point about this is if you're looking for most valuable player, I'm looking at Mookie Betts. While he's had a tremendous year, but he's had a pretty good surrounding cast. He's J.D. Martinez. You know, they have won all those games. But I think from Mike Trout's standpoint, he's been the glue on this ball club and always will be.
All right.
But I like Bob Melvin, of course, if you can't pick him. But I like the A's going to the World Series, but I like to go back. And 74, the A's beat the Dodgers. 88, the Dodgers beat the A's. Have it third one.
So you got the A's over the Dodgers in the World Series.
Keep it on the West Coast.
I like it.
So
Petit,
2 outs. Gets his tune-up, final tune-up, and again, part of a great bullpen for the Athletics. And he has had a very, very busy season, as always, and the A's signed him to a 2-year contract, so he's assured to be back next year. And a very, very important member of this bullpen for the Athletics, someone that Bob Melvin can turn to. And there's Bo Taylor. He's so excited. He is on cloud 9 right now that I don't even know if his feet are touching the ground. But he's catching after getting his first major league hit. But hey, that's pretty good. You know, 3 out of 4 for both.
No, that's good. I think the Trout thing, I totally get it.
But I just, I mean, 300 strikeouts in today's world. I mean, but I like W's. I like the wins, and I think you have to earn them. And you know, it's a different world. Maybe it's going to change even more so in the future. But that's just the way I feel. I didn't look over your shoulder. Didn't look over Dallas's. I really put a lot of effort into it.
Well, we're going to get Dallas's. We're really going to have a nice build-up to Dallas Braden's picks because you never know with Dallas.
Well, the Heat might have gotten to him today.
It's a crazy one. Yeah. He may be changing his mind as we speak.
Well, pretty confident.
Okay.
Well, it sounded like between innings somebody was telling to get rid of the umbrella. What were they saying to you down there?
Couldn't really hear him.
Yeah, I know. Now, listen, you need to be cool down there because it's got to be hot. It's always hot at this stadium year round, especially with the sun out.
Well, it is a scorcher, no doubt.
But you're handling it well.
Always a good day for baseball.
Absolutely. You're handling well. The shadows, though, are coming down quickly over the first base dugout, so you may be good.
2-2 the count to Jabari Blash. Yusmeiro Petit trying to have a nice clean inning, much like Lou Trevino did. And he's going to do it. So 3 up, 3 down with a strikeout. Nicely done by Yusmeiro Petit. 6th inning coming up. Dallas Braden's picks are also coming up.
You've given the folks your picks. Here are mine. Christian Yelich, no doubter MVP. Kipe, you mentioned the stretch run he's been on this month of September. I think it's pretty clear he walks away with that. For me, the Cy Young, Jake DeGrom. Boss, I know you mentioned the wins. The record might not be as sparkling as some folks like to see, but I just think the dominance factor. And when you take a look, just think about these numbers here. If the New York Mets would have scored 4 runs in Jacob DeGrom starts, he would have been undefeated. If Jacob DeGrom would have received at least 3 runs of run support in all of his outings, he would have only lost 1 ball game. So that's the kind of dominance I think about and not being rewarded. But the rest of the list, I think we all pretty much feel the same way about things.
Yeah. It is interesting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I saw this note. That was
if the Mets had scored 3 runs in all of his starts, he would have been 25.
Yeah. That's just insanity to me.
He really was dominant, but you just, I mean, you just don't hear as much or follow the guy as much when the team is losing.
Exactly.
Right. Pretty simple.
But he's sensational.
And then for my Rookie of the Year, I think it was a toss-up between a few different guys, really. I think Ozzie Albies, a teammate of.
I thought seriously about Ozzie Albies too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's played in every single game. Acuna's only played in 105 games. So
right.
I was
pretty good numbers.
I actually was leaning, but then I realized that Acuna put up the same numbers pretty much in 40 fewer games than Albies.
Right. So for me, it's Ronald Acuna Jr. I'd also thought about Soto for the Nats.
He's too young. He's too young.
19 years old.
He's too young to win. Yeah, he's too young to be a rookie.
And then obviously the Manager of the Year, I went with our man Snicker in Atlanta.
Snicker. Not Milky Way, Snicker. Yeah, he's done a good job. And boy, you talk about a scenario that benefited the Braves and especially him, but probably the Braves, considering that whole international and the drafting thing with the general manager. And it's a reprieve and runs away with the division. So you didn't go with Gabe Kapler?
Did not.
No.
Did not go with Gabe Kapler. I'll tell you what, though, Foss. Early on, obviously, a lot of rumblings about was he somebody that was going to be able to slide into that role and handle that role. And there was some controversy early.
Yeah.
But I think he ended up doing a fine job. Obviously, Phillies kind of hit a wall with that young group. But
it's only because he was the final out of your perfect game. Okay, let's go to the American League.
So we take it to the AL. Mookie Betts. We've seen Mike Trout 19 times a year for the past 6 years or so. We have a great appreciation for him. I just think what Mookie Betts is doing this season alone stands out significantly. He deserves the recognition. Blake Snell, for me, took over that Cy Young race the last month or so, the last 3 or 4 outings of his season, and really entrenched himself. Rookie of the Year, and this is where I told you guys, the romantic in me comes out. Shohei Ohtani. When you're mentioned in the same breath as Babe Ruth, and that's the only other guy you're mentioned with for something that you've accomplished or could perceivably do on the baseball, that's pretty special to me. So what he was able to accomplish early on the mound, what he flashed at the plate, something that definitely got me excited. And it's unfortunate we didn't get to see it unfold. I'm not complaining about it because I like where the A's are sitting right now.
Yeah, I think that's the feeling I had is, wouldn't it have been great to see Ohtani make 20 starts and get 400 at bats?
No doubt.
That would have been awesome.
No doubt. As a baseball fan,
Yep.
as a baseball fan, you wanted to see that. So, and that's just kind of where I was coming from with the Rookie of the Year.
And who did you have the A's beating in the World Series?
Rockies.
Did I see the Rockies?
You saw that, Colorado Rockies, and I think it goes without saying who my skipper of the year is. He's about 12 feet away from me to my right now, and that's Bob Melvin. With the green and gold, taking on the Rocky Tops.
All right, so good stuff all around. I don't think you could go wrong with any of those choices.
You know, one of the things about Shohei Ohtani that other clubs are starting to think now, let's look and see if we can find that two-way player in baseball. So it's not like that's going to be one and done. I mean, Babe Ruth and Shohei Ohtani, we may see in the future where you'll have more of that type of player.
Well, remember the Olsen.
Well, he's been aggressively swinging all day and finally comes up with an 0-2 pitch. Swung on, or was getting ready to swing on 3 and on his first at bat. Pitch that was close. He did not offer. This time, though, 0-2. Hammers a hard single to right. Still trying to go for number 30 himself.
Buchter getting ready out in the A's bullpen. Remember the Rays drafted a young man a couple years ago? I want to say his last name maybe
Bethencourt.
No, the high draft pick. McKay, maybe the Rays?
Sure, a lefty pitcher.
Yeah, lefty pitcher.
Brendan
who's also a
McKay.
terrific hitter, and they're grooming him to do both.
Well, the Rays? Thank you.
Yeah. Well, the San Diego Padres have an individual named Christian Bethencourt,
That's right,
who has played outfield. They utilize behind the plate, on the mound, obviously. So there's folks that are kicking the tires.
You know, when Ohtani was healthy and he was pitching, and the A's got to see him firsthand, they saw his first major league hit and almost had a perfecto against him, or at least a no-hitter, but back-to-back starts, it seemed like he pitched every Sunday. But just the restrictions that he had, or the Angels had pretty much with, as you mentioned, didn't hit before the game or
the day before.
Day before, day after. And, you know, the one thing I was thinking when we were here earlier about pinch hitting, they said, well, if he pinches and gets hurt, then he can't start the next day.
Well,
you know, so I mean,
I mean, you could say that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but there seemed to be a lot of restriction, and it kind of opened up a little bit when he couldn't pitch anymore.
That one is belted, and that baby is gone into the rock pile, and the A's lead it 4-2. Franklin Barreto.
Well, during the period of time, Dallas alluded to Jed Lowry going over to third base. Franklin Barreto, Chad Pinder got a chance to play at second base. And let's go back to the series in Chicago against James Shields and Avilan, where he had 2 3-run home runs, and both were crushed just like this one was. 2 he hit Chicago were down the line. This one to left center in the rock pile.
So 2 home runs today for the Athletics. 227 on the year, 136 on the road. 2 behind the all-time record for most home runs in a season. Watch where this one lands.
Yeah, heads up on the Matterhorn out there at Disneyland. This ball is coming in hot off the bat of Franklin Barreto. Look out, Mickey.
Okay, now you see why the skipper put Barreto in Piscotty's spot. So those 2 good hit 2-run home runs.
Why he's the skipper, and I'm
he's
just
the manager
an
of the year.
trying to get along.
I mean, he knew exactly. He knew Olsen was going to get on, and Barreto get a chance to do exactly what he did in Piscotty's spot. So you got 4 ribbies in the one spot, 1 an infielder, 1 an outfielder.
It was a hot spot.
Yeah,
the 5th spot.
Yeah, that's a good one. Franklin Barreto has the pop, and he has shown more discipline. And every year he does play, he's showing a lot more discipline. Well, Barreto just has the power. StatCast is going to show exactly 108 off the bat, the 26-degree angle, 444 feet. That's where the Angels, of course, the Angels do their pre and post way up higher. They have their area that's covered for their camera people, but
StatCast AI powered by AWS.
hey, did Matt Olson pick him up? Because usually after Barreto hits a home run, Big Ole picks him up.
So for Franklin Barreto, that's his 5th home run of the year.
And he's still a kid. It's an amazing thing.
You love to see guys enjoying the game,
right.
Enjoying their time here.
Barreto's been kind of the one player this year, Chris Bassett, but that roller coaster. Of course, the new working arrangement with Las Vegas is going to be a little bit of a shorter flight instead of Nashville or the AAA. But to your point, Dallas, Barreto, every time back and forth, he has never, ever shown any displeasure, especially going back.
So Barreto with a 2-run homer. The A's now lead it 4-2 as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning on the Big Game.
Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid, America's first hybrid minivan. Test drive one today.
So the A's with a couple of 2-run homers. Last one by Franklin Barreto. Lead the Angels 4-2 when it's time for change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your trusted oil change tune-up and smog expert. So Buchter gets an inning. He will pitch the bottom of the 6th. 6-0 record. 2.82 ERA for Ryan Buchter. Been a very fine addition to the A's bullpen, coming over in the trade in the offseason. He faces Michael Hermosillo. Otani to follow, and then Marte here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Well, trending is a big word in the social media world now, and we are trending toward a pair of tiebreaker games tomorrow.
Oh, beautiful.
Dodgers, that's a complete blowout, 14-0. And the Rockies leading the Nationals 7-0 in the 6th inning.
Love it.
And
it's got to be great.
In the National League Central, Cubs leading the Cardinals 4-2 in the 5th. And the Brewers leading the Tigers 3-0 in the 6th. So getting closer to what could be a really fun day tomorrow. Two tiebreakers.
Now, fans, you can now purchase your single game tickets to potential American League Division Series home games. Just visit athletics.com/postseason to get started. Plus, if you join A's Access, you can save at least 20% on ALCS and World Series seats and lock in your strip of tickets throughout the entire postseason. Our team is standing by and ready to help. That's right. Visit athletics.com/postseason today to get started. And folks, if you've listened to Dallas, Kite, and me, you better start buying them because we all have the A's going to the World Series and winning.
Yep.
That means there's going to be a lot of home games.
And really, if the three of us say it, so it goes, right?
True. Just got to put it out there in the universe.
I mean, we said, I remember the three of us in spring training in the dugout, Hohokam Stadium. kicking this whole thing around. And if I remember correctly, we all three said, you know what, I could see this team winning 97, maybe 98 games.
Roughly. Remember it like it was yesterday.
William Jerez.
And we said it with this group right here.
That's right. We said, you know what? I can see the A's getting Edwin Jackson and Mike Fiers and Brett Anderson and Trevor Cahill. They're all going to, trust me, it's going to happen.
Well, all I know is that Warren Chu, the A's office, sent a note saying there was a lady who disputed exactly what she said. I knew all along. She said she went someplace in a gambling area and saw the odds were 100 to 1 if the A's would go to the World Series. And so she bet $10. And I said, if you're so confident, why only $10?
Exactly.
You know, how about 100 grand? You know, come on.
Yeah. And it was May. Right?
Well, here's the big strikeout, and that's Shohei Ohtani. You know, he's not showing very much interest in left-handed pitchers in this series. So that is something that maybe in the future he does not play against them, because his Dallas at backside's been headed toward Hughes most of the time against lefties.
That's it. He's bailing out, but it's a traditional Japanese style approach that we've talked about. Ichiro has been the individual who really introduced that to the American folks over here who weren't necessarily privy to the hitting style of the Japanese baseball players. But like Ichiro, Ohtani's got the ability to park the baseball, maybe with a little more consistency and frequency in the game situation. But yeah, that might be something that they go back and evaluate, whether or not Ohtani in the lineup against a lefty is something they want to continue to roll out.
They may schedule his pitching performances around when lefties are starting.
Yeah. 3-0 the count to Jeffrey Marte, who homered back in the first inning. That was against Brett Anderson. Eased in their first strike. A's pitchers have 10 strikeouts today.
Let's see, the Angels have 4 hits, so there we are.
Well, 21 batters for the Angels. 10 of them have struck out. Just foul. So full count to Marte.
Mike has been given some great notes in this series. Our great stat man here, and he's still looking for an eclair from Dallas. So if you had one left, Mike was looking for it.
3-2 pitches hit hard but foul. We got a new manager.
Well, you know, I think this is interesting, but it's very indicative of who Bob Melvin is. You see Aldo and Ryan Christensen there, kind of going over the lineup, potential substitutions, potential moves, but Ryan Christensen kind of parked right next to the skipper, as he usually is. You know, last day of the season.
Yeah, the skipper's saying, we're going to get everybody in. Rhino, it's your time to learn.
There you go.
I'm out of here.
Another 3-2 pitch, and he walked him. There's Taylor Ward.
Mike Scioscia sitting in his seat. That's very unusual. We have not seen, the number 14. Dallas, you know, he wears Josh Paul. That's not even it. Mike is usually down below leaning on that, but Mike Scioscia wore the number 14, and I jokingly said to him, how could they not retire your number in Los Angeles? Because what they call him, Kiki Enrique Hernandez.
Yep.
He's wearing 14. I said, how could he wear that? And he said, to heck with that. He said, when I came up, he said, they gave me 14. And they said, you better wear that with honor. He said, why? He says, Gil Hodges.
Yeah.
He said, how is that number not even retired? And the 55 world champions were there to say that to him.
4-2 game after 6.
consistently all season, especially this young man. Stephen Piscotty got the A's on the board, tied the game at 2-2, and Franklin Barreto unloaded a long into the rock piles in left center, and that baby is gone. Some fan just put up that sign from our partner. Stephen Piscotty, and the rest of the day off, but in the dugout, checking the lineup card, seeing how many more get in there, but in that same spot, in the 5th spot in the lineup, Piscotty, a 2-run shot, Franklin Barreto, and that's why the A's have the 4-2 lead going into the top of the 7th inning here in the finale of the 2018 regular season.
So when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service. It's your trusted oil change tune-up and smog experts. So Williams Jerez comes in, the left-hander. Jerez making his 17th appearance. So he'll face Joyce, Taylor, and Martini. So 3 left-handed hitters for Jerez. First pitch is in there for a strike.
We talked about Shoemaker for the Angels wanting to make these last starts just to give himself the assurance and confidence that he's heading into the offseason healthy. For Matt Joyce, obviously there's a roster ahead of him that he would be excited to be a part of. So you'd like to come out, show that you're healthy, not only for that opportunity, but for himself as well.
Yeah, I would guess going into the offseason, being unsure whether you're healthy or not, that's no fun.
No.
That's a long 5 months.
Oh, Ryan Howard turned his Achilles in the final at bat postseason for the Phillies. I mean, you think about rehabbing the entire offseason, get well, then rehab.
So Joyce is retired. That's out number 1. Hey, remember, before and after every A's playoff game, we'll have you covered with October Quest on NBC Sports California. Brody, Stu, and Dallas have coverage and special guest all postseason long. The most comprehensive coverage of the green and gold right here during October. So we hope it's a long one. Many shows. It all starts on Wednesday night. That game on Wednesday night at Yankee Stadium, the American League wildcard game, will get started at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Clear your spot. Get a spot on the couch.
That's right.
Favorite chair. Chips. Salsa. Beverage. And it should be fun.
And the roll call from right field.
Yeah. Place will be jumping. Yankees, a 100-win team this year. So nothing's easy when you get to the postseason, so it will be a big challenge for the Athletics against a great Yankee team with 100 wins. They set the home run record.
The A's could finish with 98. Wouldn't that be something for a team that many thought that would win no more than 70, 72, coming off 3 losing seasons?
Well, Taylor slaps it foul.
Well, you know, we talk a lot about Yankee Stadium and the atmosphere and the presence of the bleacher creatures out there in right field. But for an Oakland A's team that has seen hurdle after hurdle placed in front of them from the onset of the season, all they've done is kept their head down, leaped when necessary, cleared those hurdles, and kept it moving. So they have been tried mentally, physically, and they have withstood the tests to find themselves, as you said, Foster, staring down 97, 98 wins, postseason berth. So I don't think there's anything that can be laid in front of them at this point in the season that they haven't seen, heard, dealt with themselves already.
1-2 to Bo Taylor, who got his first big league hit in the 5th. Not that time as he swings and misses, so that's the second out. So let's do our Wells Fargo look ahead to the upcoming wild card game in New York. Yankees and the Yankees split the 6 games they played against each other. So plenty of runs scored, no surprise there. So those are the numbers from the 6 games.
And the A's could very easily have been 4-2 with that controversial call at the plate that was overturned. Matt Olson looked like he had scored, tagged. They said he did tag him, so he's ruled out. It still should be an exciting series, much different then than now as far as the 2 clubs. Yankees have added some players, and the A's have just continued. They've had a lot of pitchers.
A's a 47-33 road record. Waiting for the conclusion of this game. And for the Yankees, their home record 53-28. So a very good home record for the Yankees, a very good road record for the Athletics. The Cubs have added a couple runs. Cubs now leading the Cardinals 6-2 in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Chris Bryant, RBI triple.
Brewers still leading 3-0. Rockies up 7-0. And the Dodgers blowing out the Giants 14-0.
The baseball gods were listening.
Yep.
Inching closer.
That'll be something for the A's players to do, and Yankees players tomorrow on the off day in New York to watch a couple of games.
Two and two the count to Nick Martini. Tap slowly right back to the mound. Jerez has it, throws to first, so the lefty has a 3-up, 3-down inning. And we are headed to the bottom of the 7th. 4-2 A's lead.
Toyota, designed for the grind that comes through every time. See your local Toyota dealer today. Toyota, let's go places. By Southwest Airlines, low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. And by Xfinity, X1 will change the way you experience TV.
All right, 4-2 A's lead, bottom of the 7th inning. Here's our Coors Light refreshing finish. Last night, Blake Treinen made Major League Baseball history. Listen to this, folks. He became the first pitcher ever to reach 100 strikeouts, 30 or more saves, and a season with an ERA below 1. His ERA 0.78, 38 saves, and he struck out 100 batters. First time in Major League Baseball history thought about this last night, and I'm sticking with it today, Dallas and Ray. I think the A's team MVP this year is Blake Trinan. And I say that because of how important the bullpen has been this year with, you know, the up and downs of the rotation and the injuries. The A's have leaned big time on the bullpen, and he is the leader of that bullpen. And Chris Davis has been sensational, but I think he's the team MVP. So our Indeed player resume has to do with Blake Trinan. And I mean, just look at the numbers straight down. His record, 9-2, 38 saves, ERA, the 100 strikeouts. The whip is under 1, which is ridiculous. I don't know. That's just the way I feel about it.
I agree. You know, and I just think that when teams become, let's say, a new team, City's awarded a team, I think, at the Marlins. I mean, they got a closer, because they always say when you get down to the end, you want to make sure that if you have a lead, you want to win the game. Well, how about when the A's acquired 2 other closers, in Rodney and Familia? And Trinan, sometimes you'd say, well, yeah, I got 2 other guys, but Trinan, and the skipper told those other 2 guys, we have a closer. He's Trinan. But I agree with you. He's finished off games, and you think of the record the A's had 68-0 when leading after 7. He's a major part of that.
Eric Young leading it off against J.B. Wendelken.
When you think about a bullpen taking shape, and you think about the guarantee that doesn't really exist, that everybody would love to have, which is that 9th inning. And I've talked a lot about this. It allows a front office to move from the back of the bullpen down, instead of trying to figure out who you're going to close the ball game with. The A's have had that luxury. So they had the luxury of seeing who would emerge, who would become the bridge. And without a guy like Blake Trinan down there, you don't necessarily allow yourself to discover a Lou Trevino. And I think that is a big, big deal.
So, yeah, there's even more to it than just those numbers that we showed. Little pop-up. Pinder, Barreto with a nice running play. Covered a lot of ground. So out number 1 here in the bottom of the 7th.
Well, we've seen Matt Chapman do this from third playing the shift, but Franklin Barreto at shortstop really running over as he has the angle. Look at the speed that he picked up to be able to get to the ball and run in front of Pinder to catch it. I don't know if Chad would have gotten it, but Barreto taking charge. And after hitting a 2-run home run to give the A's the lead, takes charge down in the foul territory and takes an extra swing away. Franklin Barreto.
Here's Cowart. J.B. Wendelken becomes an interesting roster question.
That's right.
What do you think? I think he's going to make the team.
Well,
I mean, and we say team, we say the wild card roster, which is 1 game. He's pitched really well.
And you're right. And if you think about if the A's, of course, the lot's going to be made, decision made as far as how many they take.
How many relievers.
And how many can throw multiple innings, and would you do that? Now, someone said, well, how can you guarantee that the 6 to 7 relievers are going to have great days? Well, you go into it thinking that they are. And we have seen that they're capable of doing it.
So that's out number 2.
It's going to be fun to find out. Cap, looking at the stat pack that we get, remember the A's at one time were so far under 500 against the West. 38-37 entering play today, so a win puts them 2 games over 500. Look back at the end of June, the A's were 13 under 500 against the West.
Within the division.
So that's how much and how far they have come. And it started against the Angels when they won 2 of the 3. And that weekend of June 16th. The rest is history.
So the breakdown, the A's went 7-12 against the Astros, 9-10 against the Mariners. They're 9-9 against the Angels and 13-6 against Texas. So The overall numbers maybe not as good as Bob Melvin would like, but they have come a long way.
For a while, they couldn't beat the Astros. Ended up winning 7 games. Note just came through about Adrian Beltre. Some speculating he may or may not come back, but he and Felix Hernandez, good friends. He grounded out to first and ran to the Mariners dugout to give Felix a hug. The final day of the season.
That's good stuff.
That is great. That's Adrian Beltre at his best. Well, let's hope he does come back.
Kenichi Tazawa warming up. The hitter is Arcia. He's hitting for Hudson. The Angels got the home run by Marte in the first inning, but they really haven't done much since. Just a couple of hits since that first inning. And now the count 2-2. For the A's, it's been Anderson, Trevino, Petit, Buchter, and Wendelken. Bullpen has been very good.
And you know, the last day of the season can offer a mixed bag of emotions for a club who might not be in contention or might not be moving on after the regular season. You got guys that are trying to make an impression here in their September opportunity, and other guys trying to head into an off season, as we've talked about, feeling healthy, feeling confident. So it's not like it's smooth sailing for everybody in the clubhouse and in the dugout, with today being the final day of the season.
Broken bat, slowly hit. Olsen scoops it up, and a nice inning for J.B. Wendelken. 8th inning coming up. We're coming to the finish, folks.
Stopper statues throughout Oakland designed by local artists. Well, now's your time to own one. That's right. They are for sale, and we will transport them for free to their new homes. Pick out the statue that works for you or your group. Proceeds benefit the Oakland A's Community Fund. Take a look and pick out your stopper at athletics.com/SITT. That's athletics.com/sit. Boy, the stopper's looking good. Great artistic work by those artists throughout the Bay Area with the stoppers. Jed Lowry gets another at bat, looking for 100, and he will be swinging hard.
And he needs a Pinder triple.
That's right.
So it'll be Pinder, Lowry, and it was Chris Davis's spot. Lucroy's in that spot now. So Junichi Tazawa will come in. there's also a new catcher. That's Cisco Arcia. So Pinder steps in. Came in for Chapman. So we have the tiebreaker start times, Ray. It looks like there's going to be 2 tiebreaker games tomorrow. So if you have nothing going on tomorrow, write these times down. If the tiebreaker in the National League Central happens, it will be the Brewers at the Cubs starting at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I'm going to give you the Pacific time.
So it'll be 1 o'clock in New York, where
So
the A's will
it'll be
be
1 o'clock in New York. It would be a noon start at Wrigley. How about that?
Yeah.
So that's the Brewers at the Cubs for the National League Central. The Rockies at the Dodgers would be a 1 p.m. Pacific time start. 1 p.m. Pacific time. So you guys will be in New York. It's 4 o'clock. So a couple fun games to watch.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, don't all stats count towards the season?
I think you're right. Yeah, I think
Because
if
it's part of the season.
it's part of the regular
Right.
season. Yeah.
Because I think somebody won some award or most home runs, most something, because they had to play 1 extra game because of a tiebreaker, and it counted. Postseason does not. That's all separate, and that's why you have really some great numbers in regular season for some players. You get postseason and they don't do anything. But you're also facing some pretty good teams and pitchers.
2 pitch to Pinder's outside.
And you know, you have to play day games, even the 4 o'clock game, because whoever loses is going to be the wild card. They have to play Tuesday.
Yep, that's
So
right.
it's hard to play and accommodate the East Coast time zone for TV, but the most important thing is to get those games played so the teams who are better than the wild card have to move on or can move on.
So Pinder swings and misses. He strikes out.
How about the Braves just sitting there kicking back? You know,
Well, still, nobody knows. Nobody knows 1 through 5.
That's a great point. Yeah, you're right. That's right. Even
And
though they're
they're
not
still
participating.
not going to know.
That's right.
They're not
That's
going to
true.
know till tomorrow if these 2 tiebreaker games are played.
That's a great point. Yeah.
That's amazing. So 1 away here is Jed Lowry.
Well, Jed's going to swing at everything. He will not walk this at bat.
And he hits a line shot. Hang in there, Jed. You know, he hit 3 balls really well today. And he's 0 for 4.
Well, to your point, he really had just 1 opportunity, and that was in the first inning. Hit a ball down the right field line with Martini at second. He reached there on a wild pitch, and that was the only opportunity. He might be the only guy in the stadium in the dugout hoping for a tie.
Or a big inning.
Well, you know, it's interesting. You mentioned the first opportunity early in the ball game for Jed Lowry, and I don't know how often this really happens. But think about sitting on 99. Maybe there aren't RBI opportunities out on the base paths. You get to walk up to the plate with one thing on your mind and one thing only.
That's right.
Going deep.
Except in home run derby, you know what's coming. In this, you don't know unless your catcher's telling you, and usually at that time you have no chance. Been there, done that. Do you know if you tell a hitter what's coming, more times than not he'll make an out? Just because, number 1, he doesn't believe you, and number 2, if he thinks it's a fastball, he said, I'm going to crush this ball. And no way it happens. Seen it all too often.
So 1-2 the count.
Matt Olson in the on-deck circle, hoping for another at-bat. He's been on base in front of the home runs, but yet he's 1 home run away from 30. Even if he doesn't, what a nice progression. 24 last year, 29 this year. Just really getting to know Major League Baseball, getting to know himself as a hitter.
2-2 the count to Jonathan Lucroy, getting a couple at bats, getting himself feeling good from Wednesday. Tazawa pitching out of the stretch. Good breaking ball, and he strikes out Lucroy. So a couple of strikeouts for Tazawa. Bottom of the 8th coming up from the Big A. The A's leading it 4-2. Here's our game summary brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. 4-5-0 for the A's, 2-4-0 for the Angels. Brett Anderson win 3, and then the bullpen has taken over. Bullpen's been terrific. Piscotty with a home run, Barreto with a home run. So the A's 2 more home runs in a season that, well, that's been one of the big things for the A's, home runs. But it has been a heck of an offensive season for the A's. Chris Davis is going to lead the major leagues in home runs. The A's, when it's all said and done, will finish 4th in the American League in runs scored, 2nd in home runs, and 2nd in doubles. As Emilio Pagan takes over. This is Sherman Johnson. Sherman Johnson has struck out and popped to second. Rolls that one to first. A nice big hop for Olsen, who flips to Pagan, covering, 1 away.
Well, Emilio Pagan is the 5th reliever that has come in the A's relief pitcher so far, 1 walk. That was Petit. Everybody else has done a great job. Anderson went 3 innings. But this is what we've seen out of the bullpen, and of course everybody's getting work in, and like I said, Cap, we do not know what's going to happen as of Monday or Tuesday, especially Wednesday, what the roster is going to look like.
Here's Jabari Blash. Right into the glove of Pinder on a line shot, 2 away. It's Parker Bridwell warming up for the 9th inning. Michael Hermosillo will hit for the 3rd time. He had a base hit the 3rd. First pitch is a fastball just a little bit outside. Good fastball, 95 miles an hour from Emilio Pagan. As we always like to say, it's got a little giddy up to it.
Yes, it does.
Very high down the line and foul. The attendance today, 36,892. The Angels finished with a total attendance this year of 3,022,000. So they go over 3 million for the 16th consecutive year. Not too shabby. Had just a slight increase from last year's attendance. So Pagan has a good inning. The bullpen rolling along. 9th inning coming up.
Line for postseason tickets, grab an A's Access membership and begin enjoying your discounts at the ballpark immediately. That's right. Join today and get all the perks for postseason, including 50% off concessions, $4 domestic drafts, 25% off merchandise, and $10 parking passes. Learn more at athletics.com/2019 today. A's Access, every game your way. Your way.
So 4-2 game. It is the top of the 9th inning. It'll be Parker Bridwell comes in. So he's going to face Matt Olson. Matt Olson's going to get a complete game, it looks like anyways. Martinez played the whole game. Lowry has played the whole game, and so has Matt Olson. We'll see if Jed Lowry stays out there for the bottom of the 9th.
One of the things we saw Mike Trout depart early, a nice ovation from the hometown crowd. Same with Calhoun after a base hit. When you go to postseason, you can't do that. But I will say, when the A's lost to the Tigers, it was in 2012, and the Tigers went to celebrate, and all the fans stayed, and the players went out and cheered the fans. It's like Tigers said, wait a minute, we won. What are you guys doing? But that's rare, because normally postseason, unless you win it all, it's going to come to a halt, and you can't enjoy that. But I think you prefer to go to postseason and worry about those things instead of appreciating the players coming out in this season in which you're looking forward to next year.
Three and two the count to Matt Olson. He has walked, struck out, and singled. He has scored twice. And a mighty swing and a miss. So Matt Olson strikes out. That's out number one. Well, with it getting close to the end.
Look in the dugout. Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
That's okay. No, I wanted to thank Ray for our 15th year together. Can you believe that?
Hard to believe. You've been good. You're good, though. You're great.
We're like an old couple now.
How about just a couple?
Yeah, that's true. Well, I appreciate everything you do.
You do a great job.
You're awesome to work with, and this year we got to introduce Dallas into the mix. And Dallas, you've been tremendous, and we're glad you're along, and we hope you're with us for a long, long time. It's a lot of fun working with you two guys, and I have learned a lot, and I hope to continue to learn a lot with you guys.
Well, I echo your sentiments, and Dallas has been great, and kind of down there enjoying the heat, and it's been a lot of fun. But being up here, nice and cool. But, you know, we need to thank the crew as well. I mean, the guys in the truck who do a tremendous job.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. The hardworking men and women who travel, who come here to LA and put up my traveling circus. They do an outstanding job day in and day out. Even the folks at home, it's not easy. I am very, very appreciative, no doubt about that. And to you two, without the passion and the genuine care and love for this game, I don't know if we have the opportunity to grow together and enjoy the season the way we have. So a tip of the cap and thank you to you gentlemen for allowing me to jump on the coattails.
Oh, no.
It's been great. It's been great.
Yeah, and doesn't hurt when the team wins 98 games
that's
either.
Great. No,
that's
it's great.
A good thing.
But Dallaire, the Wars, Tommy Edza, Josh Hood, three that are on the traveling all the time, and can't forget Birdie.
Yeah,
Evan Fox. I mean, there's so many people, but the three originally mentioned, I know travel, we're all together, do a tremendous job down in the truck, and camera work, tremendous. But it's been, I mean, it's amazing that something is said and all of a sudden there's a picture. And I get to comment, well, we listen. And that's important, that people listen, because you say something and get something to back it up. And that's what Dallaire, Tommy, and Hoodie, they all do a good job backing up everything. So thanks, guys, for all your hard work as well in the truck.
Cannon with a bouncer. Long throw across his dugout, I believe. Yes, it is. And on top of all that, we have a pretty good time as well. That's the most important thing. 3 innings left, folks.
Taylor, his first major league hit. Oh, face plant. Got him. And into second base, the entire dugout standing and cheering, and the ball in the dugout. And Bo Taylor, game 162 on the September 30th of 2018. The first time is always the sweetest. Bo Taylor, double in the fifth, first career hit. That is great. Get the ball. That is a great, great feeling to get your first major league hit. I remember mine. It was about a 37-foot bleeder down the third base line, and these catcher's wheels just beat it out. I was 1 for 16, but it was like a bullet the next day in the newspaper.
But you didn't fall.
I didn't fall, no. No, I didn't.
So Chris Hatcher is going to try to wrap things up.
I tell you, this bullpen has been spectacular today, and again, we do not know what's going to happen Wednesday. But if it happens to be a game in which the bullpen is utilized a lot and they do what they've done today and have done throughout the season, back to your point about Blake Trinan, I mean, he hasn't even been in this game. But they have been very, very good all year.
So Hatcher will face Ohtani and then Marte and then Ward in the bottom of the ninth. I think going to break, I said we got 3 innings left. I meant 3 outs.
Well, I
because it's like
Jed Lowry is the only guy that's looking for
yeah,
possible 3
He's saying there's 3 innings left. I mean, that's not even funny. I mean, it's really.
Yeah, on the way out to the field, Jed actually stopped and he goes, "Hey, was Kipe serious?"
Yeah. We're playing 12 today.
Spring training. We got some pitchers that need some work.
Man. 1-2 the count to Shohei Ohtani.
That's always the fun time in spring training. The game is over the 9th inning, and the guys go back. What's going on? Pitcher needs some work. Let him go back out there. Game's to the situation.
There's a line shot and a base hit to center field. So Shohei Ohtani gets his first hit today. And here's Jeffrey Marte.
Okay, this is going to be an interesting week next week for Mr. Ohtani as he goes under the knife. As he faces the right-hander, unlike the left-hander, still has it slightly open as he runs to first base. The line drive to center field for Ohtani. But, you know, the Angels have to be very hopeful that when he does have the surgery, and that we've seen the A's pitchers who've had Tommy John surgery, we see him in the sling. Of course, by the time spring training begins, that will not be the case for Ohtani, but you have to just wonder that extension and the follow through and missing a ball, you know, how's it going to affect? In Dallas, I don't know, as a pitcher, you know, they're extending an arm. Guys always talk about swinging, missing, or throwing, and, you know, doing something out of the ordinary is where it affects the most.
Well, Foss, for Shohei Ohtani, obviously that right elbow, his throwing elbow, being the lead elbow as a left-handed hitter, the muscles that are engaged during that swing or a swing and miss, those muscles are on the top of the forearm or the top of the elbow, if you will. So that's why they feel like there's really no risk involved with Ohtani swinging the bat. If he were a left-handed hitter, however, then that would be the difference, where that top hand, that right hand, would be extended at contact, and that's where the stress on that tendon would really come into play. So him being a right-handed hitter, or excuse me, a left-handed hitter is really the saving grace.
And he's a good hitter. 22 home runs show that in your Rookie of the Year.
3-0 the count to Marte. And there's a strike. Taylor Ward is the on-deck hitter.
I think Marty Foster wants 3 more innings.
Nope.
I think Joe West does.
Nope. That one is bounced fair down the third base line. Rolls into the corner. Ohtani, he can run. They're going to wave him home. He hits the bag at third. He's going to score, and now it's 4-3, and the tying run is at second base. So Marte has knocked in all 3 of the Angels' runs.
Not surprised, Pinder off the bag. I mean, you can't guard against extra bases when you have a 2-run lead, and he's off just enough of this ball hooking past him. Marte's got that uppercut swing. There's your launch angle uppercut. But you're right about Shohei Ohtani. His legs are not affected by anything except the speed.
So nobody out. Here's Taylor Ward. And he takes the first pitch, and it misses inside. Eric Young is the on-deck hitter. So the crowd, give him some credit. They're into it.
That's right.
Pitch is low, and now it's 2-0.
Well, the first run in this game was scored without use of a home run, because the A's 2 2-run home runs and Marte with a 2-run home run in the first inning. Ryan Bell heating up quickly in the A's bullpen.
Pitch is hit to left field, and it's hit deep. Martini's at the wall, and this ball game is over. So a shocking turn of events, and it happened quickly. A single, a double, a 2-run homer, and the Angels walk off with the win in game 162.
That was shocking, wasn't it? Well, he unfortunately fell behind, and Hatcher with the fastball to Ward, I mean, it was there. And Ward, we have seen, he hit a home run on the Friday night. And that pitch right down the middle towards the inner part of the plate, and carried the bat halfway to first base to Ward, and to left center. Martina with a great effort, but the ball just over his outreach glove, and that quickly, 3 batters, 3 runs, game over, and that's it. That is it.
So plenty of excitement for the final day of the regular season, and a disappointing loss for the Athletics, but they will shrug it off and get themselves ready for the postseason. So the A's finished with a regular season record of 97-65. Time of game was 2 hours and 40 minutes. The attendance 36,892. It's time now to head to the studio as Brody Brazil and A's postgame live is set to start.